All right, good morning, everyone. Welcome. Hope you've had a great start to Ignite, a great start to the second day of Ignite. It's great to see so much energy across this event. And also just really wonderful to see so much energy back in San Francisco. It's a city that I called home for most of my life. And up until about 2 years ago when I moved up to Microsoft, this was really what I called home and had my family here as well. And it's clear that this is just the center of so much AI innovation. And across this event, we've seen and heard a lot about what we call frontier organizations and frontier transformation. And often when we talk about these sort of frontier firms and frontier movements, we're really referring to the wave of new applications that are just coming online. And we estimate that to be about 1.3 billion agents that are going to move to production in just the next 2 years. But this morning, we're actually going to look at a slightly different angle, because perhaps the greatest source of value for you and your business is actually the decades of applications and data that are powering your business right now. And that can often feel like technical debt, like some sort of endless to-do list where we're trying to refresh and keep all of these new services that have already built modern and agile and innovative. And it's also often viewed as something that's holding us back from the great services that we want to build. But agents are actually giving us a new way to address this technical debt and actually to transform that technical debt into greater value. Because as we enter into this new world of frontier firms, infusing AI into business services is a top priority. And there's an expectation that nearly every business service will actually be infused with AI, that the applications that are powering our organizations today will become more intelligent and more innovative and ultimately more valuable. And through AI, we can actually transform those core services to unlock capabilities and opportunities that weren't previously possible. But the promise of all of that is also sparking this renewed interest in modernization. And it's putting greater pressure on all of you, whether you're a developer or whether you're in the IT organization and you're keeping these business services running. The expectation is that you're going to move faster, that you're going to modernize at a greater pace, that all of your applications will be AI ready. And we see increased demand to modernize these decades of Java and .NET applications or move legacy systems to the cloud, and even to ensure that every application that you're running now is really built on a foundation that's ready for AI innovation. And from our perspective, becoming frontier means that you do have that foundation, that you're ready to support the future of your business, that moves modernization from something that you'd like to do or that you're really trying to do to a key step that's both necessary and valuable and critical for AI adoption. And of course, it's not that simple. If it was that simple, we'd already be in a great space with all of this. But modernization is something that's challenged us for a long time. Across multiple organizations, across multiple companies, I've sat in front of audiences just like this and talked about new ways that we can help you modernize or move to cloud environments, and now also think about how you do it in an agentic way. In fact, if we did some interesting studies and we've looked across the market, we see that more than two-thirds of CIOs are reporting that their technical debt is actually increasing, and that technical debt, to support it, we're actually taking investments from new applications or new services just to keep the lights on and keep those applications running. We're taking investments that could be used to build net new projects, and those are often the more creative ones that are driving growth and differentiation, and we're steering that back towards existing applications. This is a compounding issue that's making it even more difficult to grow and transform our businesses. And the step towards modernization can often feel really difficult because we see that there's a skills gap. A lot of times the skills that we need in the cloud or in new applications are missing, or our applications are built on skills that are no longer inside of our business. And the developer resources that we need right now to be building the next generation services are also dedicated to keeping existing services modern and maintained. And that's really taking away from the core resources that we need in order to move our business forward. And so we're going to spend a lot of time today talking about the technology that's now available, some of which was announced this week, to help move us forward, because the breakthrough to evolving this scenario is the new agentic capabilities that are now online across and helping you with your entire tech estate. And we're going to spend most of the time talking about how AI can help with modernization agents that are starting to act like extensions of your developer teams. And developers are now able to delegate and assign complex tasks to agents to automate end-to-end processes across existing apps and data. from assessing entire application estates to upgrading and modernizing existing code with minimal effort to understanding the customized or specialized code that's within those applications. Agents are now able to actually do all of this on our behalf. Agents are helping us understand how each workload is interconnected with infrastructure and databases, with ISV solutions and open source and other applications. And they're helping us work through the change management scenarios that we need to bring cloud and AI native architectures online and operate with advanced processes like DevOps and FinOps and platform automation. And all of that is available to us now, and it's also available to us in some of the top and most relevant scenarios. We're actually looking where agents can actually apply to some of the most complex modernization initiatives that are in all of your businesses. You know, the millions of enterprise apps that are out there in your systems, we estimate that more than a third are overdue for modernization right now. And that's creating a risk point for all of you. But agents can help with all of that, from Java and .NET applications that are often running on outdated frameworks, and we can help you upgrade those to modern PaaS systems. We can reduce technical debt. We can make those systems more agile. Or areas of SQL Server where databases are sitting on aging infrastructure. With Azure, you can move those SQL workloads with minimal code changes. Or you can upgrade Oracle estates from expensive and rigid models to PostgreSQL with agent tools within VS Code. And all of that is helping you to run more effectively, run with greater agility, and also reduce costs significantly. You know, the common thread here is this influx of agents that's helping with migration and modernization. And it's really changing the way that businesses think about this overall journey. With AI, you can actually use them to discover the right applications. You can understand what kind of services you need in order to be moving your applications and modernizing them. AI can actually do all of the heavy lifting. That can all be automated for you today. Agents can start to map dependencies. They can assess your readiness for modernization. They can recommend the right architectures, and they can even help you refactor code. And all of this is going to help all of you, whether you're on the development side, whether you're on the operations side, to start to shift away from what can often be low value and repetitive work, and help to refocus you on the things that you want to be doing, whether that's more creative work, more innovative work, or higher value work that's going to help your business be more successful. And during the keynote, we actually announced the next phase of a solution called Azure Copilot. And with this next generation of this product, we're building agents directly into the Azure portal, into PowerShell and CLI. And Azure Copilot brings a system of specialized agents to help you migrate, operate, deploy, and continuously modernize workloads running anywhere. The new agents in Copilot are going to help you with a range of needs, from accelerating migration for VMware workloads to integrating with GitHub Copilot to help you upgrade .NET and Java applications while modernizing SQL and PostgreSQL. They're going to help you upgrade OS versions to avoid end-of-support scenarios, and they're even going to help to optimize cost and performance. And we've also taken a lot of effort to reimagine the entire experience within Azure Copilot. We've turned Azure Copilot into an immersive, full-screen command center that's powered by GPT-5 reasoning, with artifact generation and ARM-driven scenarios. And customers can now invoke Copilot in their existing workflows with contextual and personalized experience, including chat history and inline actions across the Azure portal. But you may also be aware that earlier this year, we launched a really incredible solution inside of GitHub Copilot, bringing app modernization capabilities into the tools that your developers are already using. And what this particular solution does is it helps development teams quickly upgrade and modernize their Java and .NET applications on Azure. Now, myself as a developer, I didn't enter this field so that I could spend all of my time patching and supporting legacy systems. I want to be building new things, but a lot of my time every day can be spent on legacy systems. And this is just a distraction. It can often feel like low-value work, but it's also really, really complex. And so GitHub Copilot can change all of that. What used to take me months or even years can now be done in a matter of days. And we're building on that momentum. Actually, here we're announcing a new generation of agentic AI capabilities inside of GitHub Copilot with even more services. We've integrated GitHub Copilot modernization into portfolio assessment tools like Azure Migrate, like Dr. Migrate, and even Cast, so you can move from discovery to deployment in a very end-to-end way. And we've also expanded support across multiple languages and frameworks. So you can now upgrade from .NET Framework to .NET. Java apps can be upgraded all the way up to Java 25. And transformation for Jakarta EE, Java developers. We've brought all of that experience into IntelliJ so that whatever IDE you're in, you can actually experience these same capabilities. We've also enhanced containerization experience, and GitHub Copilot can now auto-generate Docker files and the artifacts that you need to deploy container platforms and PaaS environments, such as AKS Automatic and App Service. And lastly, outside of this, we've also done some great things with our managed instance for Azure App Service. So if you're running legacy web applications, you can migrate existing .NET web apps directly to the cloud without the cost or effort of rewriting that code. So we're making it incredibly simple. Whatever the application, whatever the workload, whatever the tool, whatever the environment, you can now do it inside of GitHub Copilot or your IDE, and you can do it in a really seamless way. There's some great information out there. You can come to our booth and see a demo. You can see how this services are actually helping you to delegate these tasks to the agents. You can run multiple scenarios simultaneously. And we think this is really going to be a real game changer for developers to offload a lot of the services that are taking up so much of their time right now. Now, we're also bringing new capabilities into our database modernization solutions across SQL and PostgreSQL in an effort to bring your data along with you as modernized. We don't just want to address the application, we want to address your entire IT estate. And this week, we actually unveiled next-gen Azure SQL Managed Instance, which is a destination for all of your SQL Server workloads. The latest release is now generally available. It delivers double the storage and 5x the performance from mission-critical workloads. And we're also transforming how you get there with a more streamlined migration experience enabled by Azure Arc and Microsoft Copilot. A great example of how we're addressing the entire IT estate for you, bringing your applications and your data into a more modern infrastructure. Now, we've also taken a look at security, because as we modernize our services, we have an opportunity to reassess and enhance our security posture. And with the rise of multi-agent systems, the security threat surface just continues to expand. So you're migrating your applications, you're modernizing them, you're bringing them in with AI capabilities, and now you have to rethink how you examine and support them from a security standpoint. We have to have a strategy that evolves our security models. We also have to deliver protection from code to cloud across applications, data, and models, and that's why we're delivering security with Copilot-powered autofix in GitHub Advanced Security. What this does is it secures your containers with Azure Container Registry. It secures your connections to runtime with Microsoft Defender for Cloud. And if you're modernizing in order to bring AI into existing services, your new vulnerabilities are supported with built-in security from Microsoft Purview and Microsoft Foundry with centralized monitoring across Defender. Now, when you think about all of these tools together, what it provides is a comprehensive code-to-cloud solution that protects all of your workloads, from code, infrastructure, databases, applications, AI, and your service layer. It's built in natively into Azure, and it protects most of the widest range of workloads in Azure compared to any other solution. And using these, it's going to help you proactively secure your applications in a new way. We're really excited about what we can bring from a security standpoint, augmenting what we can already do with our tools for modernization. Now, the fact that you're here at Ignite means that you already know the value of Azure. I probably don't need to spend a lot of time reinforcing just how great Azure is, but I do want to spend a little time kind of helping you understand what you get when you think about this as more of a full stack offering. Because when we're thinking about applications and data and security, there are very specific advantages to that all-up solution. And really, based on the feedback from our customers, what we see is that Azure is really effective at helping people respond faster. They can move faster to market changes, they can be more agile, they can work in modern environments and modernize their workloads, and they can now operate in a more seamless and effective way across that infrastructure. We also have a unified approach to data and AI, which is actually enabling faster insights, seamless integration across enterprise systems like SAP, and simplifies access to advanced models, but that end-to-end solution is also providing a higher level of accuracy and relevancy for AI solutions, and those are all documented by our customers and in a lot of really interesting studies as well. And finally, we're really helping through cost savings. When you go through a full stack solution across Azure, we're seeing that high performance infrastructure, integration into our existing technologies, All of that is helping our customers to scale more efficiently and have a much stronger ROI for their solutions. Now, everything that we've talked about here today, from approaches and strategies and tools and agents, it really just reinforces what you already know. Models like this have been out for a long time. I've been working with organizations for years across 5R and now 6R models. And I would assume that most of you have strategies that cover each and every one of these approaches. You're thinking about how you're moving applications. You're thinking about how you're going to be maybe doing more advanced scenarios like refactoring or re-architecting. And you're thinking about your new applications. And the key here is that the solutions we're talking about that are built into GitHub, that are built into Azure Copilot, all of these are scenarios that can be supported but can now be done faster and more effectively with you delegating a lot of those capabilities and services to the tools that you now have in hand. And so the same practices and approaches that have helped us for years are just going to be supported through new agentic capabilities, and we can help you apply those strategies across all of your application estate, all of your databases, your infrastructure strategies, and your entire tech investments. And to date, what we've seen is actually some pretty incredible results. The solutions that we announced in GitHub Copilot were just went GA about a month and a half ago. They were announced earlier this year at Build. We have some great examples of customers that are achieving really tangible, real-world impact inside of their businesses. And here's just a couple examples here. You see Chunghwa Telecom. They've done complete app upgrades and modernization. They're using less resources, and they're also reducing their overall security risk. But for China is the one that I love the most. They're automating middleware migration tasks. They're reducing the migration effort by almost 70%. And we're actually seeing similar examples within our own business. Microsoft is now using GitHub Copilot app modernization capabilities in our own services. We're seeing it in our Teams development organization. We're seeing it across our Xbox organization. And we're really dedicated to being customer zero and how we adopt this and make it successful and really show what's possible through these new services that are just now coming online. Those are just a fraction of the kinds of companies that we're working with to really help them move to the cloud, start to see these kinds of results, and really carve out the future of their business. That's just a short introduction, and what I'd love to do is actually bring up John Yokim. John's going to do a quick introduction, and then he's going to be joined by a couple of our customers who are actually going to give you their best practices for achieving the kind of results that we just talked through. Thank you.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm very excited as we talk about the transformation of modernization with agentic AI. It creates a step change for us to really take advantage of the capabilities the cloud provides. And what I'd like to do over the course of the next 15 to 20 minutes is have a discussion with a couple customers that have gone along that journey and that can really help share some of the best practices. And so I'd ask Marc Gunter from CIBC to join me. Come on up, Marc.
Can I grab one of these?
Yeah,
Oh, great.
please.
Thank you.
So,
How you doing?
Marc, you're the Vice President of Engineering and Transformation at CIBC. Can you tell us a little bit about CIBC, just for everyone in the audience that might be?
Yeah, for those who don't know who or what CIBC is, well, there's a good description right there. We're one of the so-called Big Five or Big Six banks in Canada. We do have a global presence. We do have a retail presence throughout the U.S. And specializing in certain products. But we also have a strong presence in capital markets, both in Canada, the U.S., and London, and also in Asia as well. So as you can see, it's a fairly sizable organization. And we have a lot of technology.
A lot of technology. We were talking about your technology before we came in here, and you told me that the first app that was migrated or modernized into Azure was when?
2016.
2016. So can you tell me a little bit about the journey from 2016 to now and what you've been up to and the things you've accomplished?
Sure. Yeah, so in 2016, we did, like I said, our first app, and we're very pleased with that. And then we did a lot of bespoke work. Bespoke as in just sort of one-off. We would move tactically applications into the Azure cloud. And it was in 2021, or I guess the discussion started in 2020, where we chose to build a program that we called Cloud at Scale, which really put a new focus on migrating to the cloud, to the Azure cloud, and specifically with some amount of purpose. So we really structured the program so that we would define a set of tangible goals, complete with senior executive sponsorship, and also measurable goals in terms of KRIs and KPIs, and all the way up to, even though it's a small amount of information that goes to the board, it's actually very critical, and it's something that they track very carefully, and they always ask pertinent questions on how we're progressing with the cloud migration. A great deal of interest was generated in the program at the very beginning. Now, I guess we're, whatever that is, 4 years into it, and we have successfully migrated over 350 applications into Azure at this point. And it's interesting, we have an install base of, let's call it a fleet of about 1,000 applications within the bank, but that includes pretty much everything. So the addressable space on what we can actually migrate to the cloud is somewhat less than 1,000, simply because you have a lot of applications which are actually already SaaS apps and are already there in different ways or in different environments. And then there are certain, it's a diminishing amount, but there are certain platforms such as the mainframe where no decision has been made what we're going to do with those.
Okay. You used the term migrating, and
Yep.
we're talking about migrate and modernize. What were some of the services that you moved these applications to as you kind of went through it?
Well, pretty much everything. I mean, we were quite aggressive with how we looked at the applications. We started with actually a couple of simple ones. This is precursor to the Cloud at Scale program. And then at Cloud at Scale, we took on some pretty lofty goals, and we actually looked at some major applications, both on the retail side and the capital market side, and for very strategic reasons. Both of them on the retail side is that we wanted to do a true active environment for our retail presence. And in fact, if you do log into CIBC.com, that's actually the presentation layer you see there is all entirely run on Azure at this point, and in an active basis, and it's actively monitored and load balanced dynamically depending on where you are, and obviously depending with other performance characteristics. On the capital markets side, a similar problem, a problem that we couldn't solve on-prem, is we needed the ability to scale to many thousands of cores for some of the calculations that the capital markets folks do. There's something called FRTB, Fundamental Risk of Trading Book, and it actually takes full advantage of a large-scale compute. So this was something that we actually did very early on in the Cloud at Scale program, and operates today very efficiently. And again, it can be distributed across multiple domains.
Yeah. So it sounds like you've been through a lot. I'm sure there's some lessons learned along the way, things that you might want to share, things you might want to choose to do differently. If you look back and you had the opportunity to do it over again, what can you share with the group?
Yeah, okay, lots of things. Happy to take questions later if you want, but I think Mike mentioned it at least half a dozen times, tech debt. Know your tech debt, because that'll actually drive your, I think your prioritization process to some extent. I will say that I had no clear idea of how important ridding of tech debt would become, because of all the associated challenges of moving applications to the cloud, but furthermore, just that there's a lot more regulatory burden on older environments, simply because of activities such as vulnerability patch management and so on. So to me, one of the biggest challenges is really understanding how you do this at scale, and a couple of items come up with that is, like I said, understand your applications, and more importantly, get your teams together, and really start building teams who have a lot of expertise in both domains, meaning your traditional application domain on-prem, as I call it, or as we call it, and of course on how you're going to migrate to the cloud.
So how has this changed how you operate, the measurements that you've put in place? You've talked about those earlier.
Yeah, so here's how we changed it. We actually built pods for the teams on the Azure side. So we have application engineering pods, we have platform engineering pods, we have what I'll call sort of project management folks that go between our engineering teams. I should clarify that I'm strictly on the engineering side, so I do all the infrastructure piece. So we interface through something called the application operations team that ultimately then deal with the application development teams. So really, we found one of the chief lessons is build the expertise within these pods, at least in our example, and do not assume that that the app owners will catch on as quickly as you expect them to do the migration work. So we do a lot of the heavy lifting for them. They amazingly, not amazingly, but it's certainly gratifying to see that once we give them the tools and the coaching required to do the migrations, they will pick it up because obviously they're app developers. They want to own their apps and they want to understand how they operate them in the new environments.
Yeah, certainly. And so with the emergence of AI and those application developers, how are you serving them? You said, hey, you're responsible for the infrastructure. Like, what does that allow the bank to be able to do?
It really allows us to build capabilities such as Azure AI, or it used to be called Azure Cognitive Services. I think it's just recently been rebranded. We've been using this for a couple of years, but to be clear, we're just the enablers, right? We do the plumbing for them. We do a lot of the securing of the environments and a lot of other sort of regulatory aspects of the work that needs to be done, and we provide them a standardized set of interfaces, and then they can take advantage of it. And they've gone on to do some really, really fabulous things. We run something called CIBC AI, or 𝗫, and that was developed entirely by our application developers through the use of the services that we provide through Azure services. So we have taken the position that a lot of these services we want to keep in-house. Sorry for interrupting. Keep them in-house. And therefore, we built that expertise on the application development side to exploit those capabilities.
Fantastic. I have one final question for you.
Yep.
Right? Of the things that you've heard this week, what are you the most excited about looking forward into the future and how you might leverage some of the capabilities or anything like that?
Yeah. I'll tell you, I think I said at the start that I unfortunately own both the tech debt. That's the yang to the yin, which is the Azure migration, which is a lot of fun. Dealing with tech debt on some of these older environments is a lot of tough slugging, and or toil, as they call it. And I'm just really excited to see. I saw a couple of vendors yesterday, or sat through some sessions where they're actually doing a lot of AI work that helps you automate the migration or modernization of tools, and more importantly, languages. So we have a lot of tech debt, for example, with Java. So we want to modernize all that. We don't need to really refactor it, but we just want to modernize it more quickly. And I'm quite excited to see that there's a number of solutions in that space that will help us move these apps to Azure.
Fantastic. Hey, Marc, thank you very much for joining us. Appreciate your time.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
For our second guest, I'd like to invite Amit Shah up from 𝗦𝗲𝗲𝗀𝗃𝗃 in the USA. Amit, thank you for joining me.
Yeah, thank you, John. Thanks for having me.
So as we kind of prepared for this conversation, you had some great words of advice along the way. But before we get started, I want to know a little bit more, and if we can share a little bit about 𝗦𝗲𝗲𝗃 and what it is and what it represents for everyone.
Yeah, no, absolutely. So 𝗦𝗲𝗃𝗃𝗃 USA is one of the largest retail grocery operator on the East Coast and within the United States. We have 2,000 plus stores. We have 5 plus brands. We have $58 billion in revenue. We have 26 million shoppers that walk through our stores and our brands on a weekly basis. And we have 99% reach from our e-commerce platform, which is what we're going to talk about. And it's we have a very high degree of digitally engaged customers, which is like roughly 32.5%, and that number is just continues to grow as we move into the adoptions phase of customers shopping online and leveraging our platform for it. So it's an exciting place, grocery online shopping. It's growing double-digit for the last 5 years consecutively, and that poses interesting challenges for a technology organization that supports it.
Now, the e-commerce portion of it, that's the center of the things that you're working on from a modernization perspective. And I said that in current tense. Now, you shared something with me coming in that you've moved through the modernization. Tell us a little bit about where you started and the reasons why you undertook the project, and then where you are today.
Yeah, so we started this journey long back. So 5 years ago, we started the journey of saying, hey, across all of the brands, we have 3 different e-commerce platforms. We had tremendous growth coming at us, and we recognized that we have significant challenges in terms of scalability, in terms of performance, in terms of agility. And if you really think about e-commerce, you're competing with some bigwigs. And I'm not going to name the names, but you can all guess. So we had to be really competitive in the marketplace. And what that required is to holistically look at our entire set from technology perspective, whether it's infrastructure, whether it's database, whether you're talking about the core engine. We're working with legacy tech 25 years ago. It was built 25 to 30 years ago. A lot of monolith database, a lot of monolith commerce engine. The infrastructure is quite flat. So we were facing significant challenges in terms of talent as well, because we couldn't attract the right kind of talent to go solve the problems that we wanted to solve and build the capabilities that we wanted to build. So we really had to look at holistically, how do we go solve this problem?
Yeah. And in that approach, like, what did you think about? Like, what was the conversation that you had with your team and how to build it out and going forward?
Yeah, so we really didn't want to take a piecemeal approach to say, hey, we'll just start somewhere, do the POC, prove the concept out. We really took this as a strategic opportunity to reposition the technology as a business enabler. So what we call it as evergreen platform strategy internally, which meant that some of the topics that we talked about, hey, technology debt is a problem. Yes, we had that problem. We had monolith components within our architecture. But the idea was, how do we unpack all of that? How do we create a plug-and-play architecture? How do we create microservices-driven architecture, event-driven architecture? And so really holistically looking at what that North Star looks like, and then obviously making sure that we build the teams, we build the processes and tooling around that future state ambition. So we started the journey in 2022 to move and adopt and become a fully cloud-native organization within digital, which powers our omnichannel platform. So you can think about shopping online, the mobile application, all the backend services, third-party integration, loyalty platform, and marketplace integrations as well. And also capabilities that associates use in the store to pick the groceries and actually deliver the order. So it's a quite complex ecosystem. We get roughly 25 million hits per hour. We have billion-plus units that we sell online annually. So it's a pretty massive platform. And so the intent was to modernize without slowing down the business. And so that's a journey we started in 2022, and to become a cloud native. And Azure has been our platform of choice.
And you shared with me some of the work that you did on the development side, like how you addressed that to become a cloud native. Like you started at the foundational with your developers. So you can tell me.
Yeah, and I think the number one reason that we started this journey is to really make sure that we have the best talent available to work for us. And to attract the best talent, we really needed to build a tooling and platform that they could do the best work in. So we had 800+ code repositories that were distributed across multitudes of tools. We had all teams were doing different ways of their pipeline to deploy the code. So first thing we started was to actually consolidate and adopt GitHub Copilot. And back then it was just GitHub, and then eventually it led into GitHub Copilot. But essentially standardizing our 800 repositories, migrating all of that into a single platform, building a consistent platform for delivering the software has been a great enabler to go unleash the value creation in terms of the rest of the stack.
Yeah. So as you've recognized some of that value creation, what's the steps forward for you then, building on top of it?
Yeah, so first, I mean, what we started was we completely transformed our infrastructure layer. So we leverage AKS to really build our containerized platform. So we have migrated over 3,000+ VMs. We run over 3,000+ AKS pods in production environment. We took 3 large monolith database, we broke it down into 300 Postgres flexible servers that are distributed and working across 2 regions. If you think about our commerce engine, we split it into RESTful APIs. They're microservices-driven architecture that is deployed on those AKS containers, and they're all brand separated. So we really wanted to make sure that we can do this work across multiple brands and isolating each brand from each other, but still running the same code base. So what we call it as single-tenant architecture. And then we moved further up and we deployed native mobile applications for developers as well from our customer perspective. So I think overall, we have been able to complete this full transformation, and we call it like cloud native journey has been concluded in a way because we now have ability to go do all of this amazing work. And some of the things that we are now looking forward is the next 3-year journey is how do we become AI native. That's really the focus area for us.
All right. I'll ask you the same question I asked Mark. I mean, you've gone through a lot. You took a monolith and brought it all together in a cloud-native way. What would you have done differently? What did you learn along the way that you can share with folks that might be on the same journey?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think it's not a tech journey. It's really a business journey. And I think that's the key thing. Is you have to bring the business along. So I've been extremely lucky in having amazing business partners that understood the value of investing for the long term. So sometimes these projects can become quite overbearing. You look at it and you're like, hey, for the next 3 years, we're going to be at it, or the next 5 years, we're going to be at it. But the idea is how do you create a pathway where you're not slowing down innovation, but also doing the transformative work. So bringing the business along, sharing the story and creating the value proposition. So how are we going to improve the uptime? How are we going to improve the CSAT score? How are we going to improve the NPS? Is super essential because those are the indicators that move the needle. So I've been extremely lucky to have a partnership from Chief Digital Officer to Chief Commercial Officer, everyone in the organization really partnering and championing the business. So I think bring the business along in this journey is the #1 ask. And #2, you have to look at it holistically. This is not an infrastructure play. This is not just an app play. It's a full stack play. So you really have to make sure that everybody's on board and everyone's together marching towards the same vision. And also you need to have a very simplified, consolidated tech stack. You don't want to go chase everything. So one of the decisions we early on took is what is going to be our container platform? What is going to be our cloud platform? What is our database platform? Caching layer? What is our microservices layer? So I think we just made sure that the decisions were made and communicated, and then everyone was allowed freedom within that framework. So those are some of the...
It's great to hear that you not only had IT-based measurements for your developers and those types of things, but you had the measurements to hold yourself accountable to the business. So that's fantastic. As you think about the things that you've heard this week, like what's been exciting to you? What has you, when you go back, you're going to say, hey, this is something we need to be thinking about?
Yes, I think there are 2 parts to this. One is I'm super excited about all the things that are happening from engineering perspective. So the coding agents, like we have a great adoption within our engineering community already, and can't wait. I was already messaging my platform team to say, hey, have we made the preview version available for our developers yet or not? But so coding agents is really exciting to see. We have 78% of our engineers that are using GitHub Copilot today. And I want to see that we have set an ambitious target of 100% by end of the year. So I want to see that growth come to life. But also vertically, start seeing like how could we bring AI Foundry and how do we bring some of those capabilities from business use cases for AI. So we've started the work, what we call it an AI Innovation Zone. But the idea is to really bring, again, business together to really identify the right use cases where we can start applying AI and start solving vertically the right problem statement. So I think it's super exciting time, a bunch of exciting announcements. So looking forward to partnering and continue to develop the value for the business.
No, it's a great example of, hey, you've gotten to a modern state, and now what can I do next for the business? Hey, I would really like to thank you for joining and sharing your story with everyone here.
No, thanks, John. Thanks for having me
It's
here.
been great.
All right.
Thanks, Amit. So hopefully those stories were helpful and beneficial as you think through the process that you go through. We have one more story. And for those of you that were able to make the keynote, you heard a little bit about Mercedes yesterday. I'd like to go ahead and roll a video about their transformation and modernization they did and how it enabled capabilities within Mercedes.
As Mercedes-Benz, we're one of the most successful car makers in the world. And of course, digitalization plays a very important role for us. At Mercedes-Benz Operations, we enable vehicle production along the entire value chain with our IT systems. Whether it's in the planning phase of a vehicle, in the direct processes, in the press shop, body shop, paint shop or assembly shop, right all the way throughout to delivery.
So to make this transformation scalable and efficient, we built the 𝗦𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗀 Compute Platform. It's designed to abstract infrastructure complexity and empower product teams to focus on what really matters, developing business applications in highest quality and maximum speed. Built on top of Microsoft Azure, the platform team provides a fully automated landing zone for enterprise applications. Our product teams get secure network infrastructure out of the box and ready to go. To make this possible, we offer easy-to-use infrastructure as code pipelines for selected Azure services. These are GitOps-based and follow DevSecOps practices, ensuring speed, consistency, and security. The default configuration of those pipelines include integrations with other services, Mercedes-Benz compliance, security measures, and FinOps-based autoscaling. Everything enterprise-ready from day one. For application modernization, we used Azure App Services for smaller apps and Azure Kubernetes Service for larger microservice-based architectures. For databases, we migrated legacy systems to Azure PostgreSQL, and for observability, we leveraged the full Azure Monitor suite.
To date, more than 100 applications have already been migrated or are in progress of being migrated to our new platform. And this includes mission-critical production systems. We're using around 13,000 Azure resources in a very standardized way. This approach has helped us to substantially reduce the total cost of ownership for our enterprise applications. So at Mercedes-Benz Operations, we didn't just migrate to cloud, but we redefined how we build and run applications more efficiently. As a next step, we'll continue improving the platform, modernizing more legacy systems, and positioning the platform as a blueprint for cloud platforms even beyond Mercedes-Benz Operations.
I love the one line as they said how they're looking to modernize, to improve, and be more efficient. Like, I think that's something that, as we talk about the best practices, how organizations have the capabilities at their hands to be able to optimize the environments through modernization.
Yeah, absolutely. And these are great stories. Thank you again to our customers for joining us in person and to Mercedes for sharing their story. I think this has been a great introduction to some of the new innovations that are coming to market and how we can apply those in the form of best practices to some of the traditional migration and modernization efforts we've had. But we also want to help all of you just really get started and experience this for yourself. So we put together a couple of resources here. If you want to take a picture, these are great things for you to jump in on. You know, from my standpoint, I would just love for people to start to get in and actually use the products that are inside of GitHub. They're new and they will be maybe a new approach for a lot of you, but I actually think that the products kind of speak for themselves in many ways. You'll start to see how easy it is, how intuitive it is, and how you can just start to get to work right away. I think your development teams are going to love it, and it's going to create a new relationship between your IT team and your developer teams as well as you think about what's next in modernization. So here's some great examples. You get documentation, all the features that are out there, and then you can also start to look at expert guidance and how to move forward.
All right.
Yep.
Sure. And of course, we have ways and capabilities that we can help you and assist you along the way, right? It's not just the work that you need to do on your own or within your own teams. And so we really would love for you to take a look at Azure Accelerate. It's access to experts to be able to move forward and help you along the journey that's there. We have investments that we're willing to do with you to get to that optimized environment, to take the modernization that's there. And so just as a moment, if you can scan the QR code or take as a note for follow-up, this is something that I think would be very valuable to help you along the journey.
And beyond the technology, Azure Accelerate gives you some great things just to get started. You'll have access to expert guidance. And we've seen in our own practices, our own development teams, technology is great, but there is some change management that goes with that, and Azure Accelerate will really help you along the way.
And then to wrap things up, we're in day 2. So some of these sessions may have already happened, but you can always get them on broadcast or on replay. But other sessions that are related to the migration, modernization, leveraging the agentic agents that are there to help you along the way. And with that, that's a wrap.
Great. Thanks everyone for joining us today. I hope this is giving you some great things to move forward. Thank you.